Good evening, everyone. Today I want to talk to you about something powerful, the beauty of keeping parts of your life private. In a world where everyone is sharing everything, there's a quiet strength in holding on to what's most important to you. You see, not everyone needs to know your every move, your every thought, your every dream. There is power in privacy. First, let's talk about your inner circle. The people you allow into your most personal space should be those who truly understand and respect you. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. I'm not saying you need to live in isolation, but you do need to be selective. Who you let in affects your energy, your peace, and your growth. Protect that space like it's sacred, because it is. Then there's something magical about keeping certain parts of your life private. When you share everything with everyone, you hand over control of your story. People will form opinions, pass judgments, and before you know it, your narrative is no longer yours. But when you keep certain things close, you stay in control. You get to decide what the world sees, and more importantly, what it doesn't. Boundaries aren't walls meant to keep people out, they're bridges to protect your well-being. Setting those boundaries, saying this part of my life is just for me, is not selfish, it's necessary. In a world that is always asking for more, sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to say, know your peace of mind, your growth, your healing, that's what matters most. And finally, let's talk about mystery. You don't owe people access to every part of who you are. There's something beautifully empowering about letting people see only what you choose to reveal. That mystery keeps others guessing, but more than that, it reminds them and you that your value isn't tied to what you share. It comes from who you are inside. So as you walk through life, remember this: don't let everyone know too much about you. Hold some things close. Guard your peace, protect your story, and never be afraid to keep a little mystery alive. Because in that quiet space of privacy, that's where your true strength lies. Guarding your inner circle is one of the most important acts of self-preservation you can make. In life, we're often told that connection is everything, that building relationships is key to success and happiness. And while that's true, not every connection should have access to the deepest parts of who you are. Your inner circle is sacred. It's the space where you allow the most vulnerable, most authentic version of yourself to exist. It's where you go when the world outside becomes too loud, too demanding, or too harsh. But here's the truth: not everyone deserves access to that space. We live in a time where everyone wants to be included, where we feel pressure to be liked and accepted by all. But in seeking validation from the masses, we risk losing the very essence of who we are. The people you allow into your inner circle are not just friends, they are your mirrors. They reflect back the energy you put out into the world, and they influence the way you see yourself. If you let the wrong people into that space, those who don't have your best interests at heart, or who don't understand the depth of your journey, you allow them to distort your reflection. They can bring in negativity, doubt, or fear that isn't yours to carry. And over time, you begin to question your own worth, your path, and even your purpose. Guarding your inner circle means being intentional about who you let in. It requires discernment, a careful evaluation of whether the people around you elevate or deplete you. Are they truly supportive, or are they there only for their own gain? Do they help you grow, or do they try to hold you back? Sometimes the hardest part of guarding your inner circle is recognizing that some people, even those who've been close to you for years, may no longer serve your highest good. It's not about shutting people out or isolating yourself from the world. It's about recognizing that not everyone has earned the right to walk with you on your journey. Some people may only be meant to stay for a season, while others are meant to walk with you for a lifetime. The key is knowing the difference. Those who belong in your inner circle will understand your need for space and privacy, and they will respect the boundaries you set. Guarding your inner circle also means understanding that it's okay to be selective. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your time, your thoughts, or your heart. The people closest to you should be those who uplift you, who encourage you to be the best version of yourself, and who offer genuine love and support without conditions. These are the people who will stand by you when the world turns against you, who will celebrate your successes and help you through your struggles, and who will never use your vulnerabilities against you. There's a saying, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. The people you allow into your inner circle have the power to influence your future. They shape the way you see the world and yourself. So be mindful of who you allow into that sacred space. Surround yourself with those who not only understand your value, but who remind you of it when you forget. In guarding your inner circle, you are guarding your peace, your spirit, and your purpose. You're creating a space where you can thrive, free from the noise and opinions of those who don't truly know or care about your journey. And in doing so, you're not just protecting yourself, you're honoring yourself. There is an undeniable power in privacy, a strength that comes from holding parts of your life close and sacred. In a world where we are constantly encouraged to share every moment, every thought, and every milestone, it can feel almost rebellious to keep things to yourself. But privacy isn't about being secretive or hiding, it's about protecting your peace and owning your personal narrative. When you keep certain parts of your life private, you remain in control. You decide what the world sees and what it doesn't. Too often, when we share too much, we unknowingly give people the power to define us, to impose their judgments, opinions, and expectations onto our lives. The more you reveal, the more room there is for interpretation, misinterpretation, and even manipulation. Privacy shields you from that. It gives you the space to live your truth without the pressure of external validation or criticism. Privacy also fosters self-awareness. When you withhold some aspects of your life from public view, you give yourself time to process and reflect. You allow yourself the opportunity to grow, to change, and to evolve without the weight of the world's gaze. The problem with oversharing is that it can lock you into a version of yourself that might not be true to who you are becoming. When you put everything out there, you may feel the need to conform to the person others perceive you to be. But privacy allows you the freedom to explore different aspects of yourself without the need to explain or justify your evolution to anyone else. Moreover, privacy creates boundaries between your public and private personas. It ensures that you are more than the sum of what people know about you. You aren't just the version of yourself that the world sees on social media or in casual interactions. There is a whole other part of you, your inner life, your hopes, your fears, your vulnerabilities that is yours to protect. When you keep those parts private, you preserve your sense of self. You maintain ownership over your life story, and that's a kind of power no one can take from you. It's important to remember that not everyone who asks about your life is entitled to an answer. Privacy is a form of self-respect. You don't owe anyone access to your innermost thoughts or experiences. People will always be curious, but their curiosity doesn't obligate you to share. In fact, holding onto your privacy can create an aura of mystery, a reminder that there are parts of you that are yours and yours alone. And that's perfectly okay. You don't have to explain your every move or decision to anyone unless you choose to. There's a profound peace that comes with knowing that some parts of your life exist just for you. When you keep certain things private, you create a space where you can retreat, reflect, and recharge. That space becomes a sanctuary where you can be vulnerable, process your emotions, and make sense of your experiences without the pressure to put them on display. Privacy gives you time to heal, to think things through, and to decide how you want to move forward on your own terms. People often underestimate the value of keeping some things to themselves, because the world tells us that sharing is a way to connect, to relate, to build community. And while sharing can certainly serve those purposes, there is a fine line between openness and oversharing. When you reveal too much, you risk diluting the power of your story. Not every chapter of your life is meant for public consumption. Some moments are meant to be cherished in the quiet spaces of your heart. And then there's another layer to this. When you share too much, you can become vulnerable to those who don't have your best interests at heart. Unfortunately, not everyone who listens to your story will treat it with care. Some may use it to criticize, gossip, or even harm you. Privacy acts as a shield against those who might exploit your openness. By keeping certain parts of your life private, you protect yourself from unnecessary hurt and exposure. Ultimately, the power in privacy is about choice. It's about choosing when, where, and with whom to share the parts of your life that matter most. It's about honoring yourself enough to know that not every story needs to be told, and not every moment needs an audience. Privacy isn't about closing yourself off from the world, it's about creating space for you to grow, reflect, and thrive without the noise of outside opinions. It's a quiet but profound act of self-love and empowerment. Boundaries are an essential form of self-care. They are the invisible lines we draw around ourselves to protect our well-being, our time, and our emotional energy. Setting boundaries is not about being distant or closed off, rather. It's about creating healthy spaces where we can thrive without constantly feeling depleted or overwhelmed. Boundaries define how we allow others to treat us, and by setting them, we communicate our needs, values, and limits in a way that honors ourselves. At the heart of boundaries is self-respect. When you establish clear boundaries, you are saying, I matter, my feelings, my time, my energy, they are valuable. Too often, we allow people to overstep because we fear being seen as selfish, difficult, or unkind. But neglecting to set boundaries doesn't serve anyone. In fact, it can lead to resentment, burnout, and a loss of self-identity. When you continually put other people's needs above your own, you begin to lose sight of your own worth, and over time, it erodes your sense of self. Boundaries are a way of reclaiming that self-worth. They help you preserve your emotional and mental well-being by ensuring that you are not constantly giving away pieces of yourself to others. It's about learning to say no without guilt and recognizing that no is a complete sentence. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you need to protect your space, your time, or your energy. Saying no is an act of self-care, and it's one of the most empowering things you can do for yourself. We often think of boundaries as barriers we put between ourselves and others, but in truth, they are about building bridges that allow for healthier, more respectful relationships. When you set boundaries, you are teaching people how to treat you. You are showing them what you will and won't tolerate. And in doing so, you create the foundation for more authentic and mutually respectful interactions. Without boundaries, relationships can become one-sided, where one person's needs are consistently prioritized over the others. This imbalance leads to frustration and emotional fatigue, making it difficult to sustain the relationship in the long run. Setting boundaries is also a way to protect your time, one of the most precious resources you have. Time is finite, and how you choose to spend it matters. Boundaries allow you to be intentional with your time, ensuring that you're not constantly giving it away to things or people who don't align with your values or goals. They give you the space to focus on what truly nourishes you, whether that's your personal growth, your relationships with loved ones, or simply time for rest and reflection. When you fail to set boundaries around your time, you find yourself stretched thin, unable to fully show up in any area of your life because you're constantly pulled in too many directions. Another important aspect of boundaries is emotional protection. We live in a world that is constantly demanding our attention, whether it's through work, family, friends, or even social media. If we're not careful, we can become emotionally drained, absorbing the stress, drama, and negativity of others without even realizing it. Boundaries act as a buffer, allowing you to keep a healthy distance from toxic or draining influences. They give you permission to step back from situations that are harmful to your mental health, and they empower you to choose what and who you allow into your emotional space. It's also important to recognize that boundaries aren't just about keeping others in check, they're about keeping ourselves in check too. They help us recognize when we are overextending ourselves, when we are saying yes to things we don't have the capacity for, or when we are engaging in patterns of behavior that don't serve us. Boundaries hold us accountable to ourselves, reminding us to prioritize our own needs, not in a selfish way, but in a way that ensures we can continue to show up as our best selves. For many people, the idea of setting boundaries feels uncomfortable, especially if they've been conditioned to always be available, always accommodating. But here's the truth: boundaries are not about pushing people away, they are about letting people in a way that is healthy for both you and them. When you set clear boundaries, you actually open the door to deeper, more meaningful connections. You create space for mutual respect and understanding, and you allow yourself to be fully present in your relationships because you are not constantly feeling overextended or taken for granted. Establishing boundaries requires courage. It's not always easy to assert your needs, especially if you're used to putting others first. But it's essential to understand that boundaries are not a rejection of others, they are an affirmation of yourself. They say, I care about you, but I care about me too. In fact, setting boundaries is one of the most compassionate things you can do because it allows you to show up more fully and authentically in your relationships. You can't pour from an empty cup, and without boundaries, that's exactly what you're trying to do. Finally, boundaries are dynamic. They change as you grow and evolve. What worked for you at one point in your life may no longer serve you now, and that's okay. It's important to regularly check in with yourself to assess whether your boundaries still align with your current needs, values, and goals. And remember, setting boundaries isn't a one-time event, it's an ongoing practice. It requires consistency and reinforcement, especially with people who may not initially respect them. In the end, boundaries are a form of self-love. They are about valuing yourself enough to protect your peace, your time, and your energy. They allow you to live with intention, to create space for what truly matters, and to cultivate relationships that are grounded in respect and understanding. When you set boundaries, you are not only caring for yourself, but you are also teaching others how to care for you in a way that honors your worth. Mystery is a profound source of strength, one that often goes overlooked in a world that prizes transparency and openness. In a time where the norm is to share everything, our thoughts, our struggles, our triumphs, it can feel as though withholding anything about ourselves is somehow wrong. But in reality, keeping certain aspects of your life private and cultivating a sense of mystery can be a powerful act of self-preservation and empowerment. When you don't reveal everything about yourself, you maintain control over your narrative. People often think that by sharing more, they gain more validation, more acceptance, more connection. But there's something deeply empowering about keeping some things for yourself. When you decide to hold back certain details or experiences, you protect your autonomy. You control what people know about you, how they perceive you, and ultimately how they interact with you. It's about preserving your energy, your peace, and your dignity in a world that is often too eager to dissect and define who you are based on incomplete information. The strength in mystery lies in the fact that it forces others to approach you with curiosity rather than judgment. When you reveal everything, people tend to form fixed opinions of you based on what they see. They begin to put you in a box, labeling and defining you in ways that may not align with the full complexity of who you are. But when you leave room for mystery, you remind people that there is more to you than meets the eye. You create a sense of intrigue that challenges others to engage with you on a deeper level rather than relying on surface-level assumptions. Mystery also fosters respect. When you don't lay everything bare, you send a clear message that not everyone is entitled to access all parts of you. This isn't about being cold or distant, it's about knowing your own value and protecting your inner world from unnecessary scrutiny. By keeping certain parts of yourself private, you establish boundaries that demand respect from those around you. People are less likely to overstep those boundaries because they understand that you are intentional about what you share. It's an unspoken way of saying, I choose what I give, and I value myself enough to keep what's mine. Furthermore, mystery allows for the preservation of your personal power. There is something inherently powerful about not giving everything away. When you withhold parts of yourself, you are not only protecting your energy, but also maintaining a reserve of inner strength that isn't diluted by the opinions or judgments of others. People cannot use what they do not know against you. When you choose what to share and what to keep private, you hold on to your power. You are not at the mercy of others' interpretations or criticisms because they simply don't have the full picture. Mystery creates a sense of allure, not just in how others perceive you, but in how you perceive yourself. It allows you to live with an understanding that you are more than what the world sees. There is a deep, quiet confidence that comes from knowing that parts of you are sacred, known only to yourself and perhaps a select few. This fosters an intimate connection with yourself, one that isn't influenced by external validation. When you maintain a level of mystery, you affirm that your identity isn't defined by how much you reveal or how many people approve of you. It is rooted in your own knowledge of who you are. Mystery also gives you room to grow. When you don't broadcast every part of your life, you give yourself the freedom to evolve without the pressure of public scrutiny. You can change your mind, shift your perspective, or alter your path without feeling like you've betrayed an image or identity you've shared with the world. In holding back, you keep certain aspects of yourself fluid and open to transformation. There's a beauty in that flexibility, in knowing that you are not confined by anyone's expectations, including your own. Keeping certain things private can also protect your peace. When you maintain an air of mystery, you shield yourself from the inevitable noise that comes with other people's opinions. You don't have to justify your decisions, explain your emotions, or defend your choices to anyone. You live in a space where your actions and thoughts are yours alone to process. This kind of privacy is a form of mental and emotional self-care. It allows you to cultivate a quiet space where you can think, feel, and grow without interference. Moreover, mystery isn't about deception or creating distance. It's about being intentional with what you share and when you share it. It's about recognizing that not every part of your life is meant for public consumption. Some things are simply too precious, too personal to be exposed to the world. By keeping those parts of yourself private, you protect their value. You hold on to the pieces of your story that matter most, and you give them the space to be fully realized without the weight of outside expectations. Mystery can also serve as a protective mechanism, particularly in situations where vulnerability might be used against you. Unfortunately, not everyone who asks about your life has pure intentions. Some people are more interested in gaining information to critique, manipulate, or undermine you. By keeping certain details to yourself, you safeguard against this kind of exploitation. You remain a step ahead, not out of paranoia, but out of wisdom. You understand that not everyone deserves access to the deeper parts of you, and that's a powerful boundary to set. In relationships, mystery can foster deeper connections. When you don't immediately reveal everything about yourself, you invite others to take the time to truly get to know you. This creates a sense of discovery, a slow unfolding that allows for genuine intimacy to develop. Rather than overwhelming someone with the entirety of who you are up front, you create space for curiosity and deeper exploration. This approach encourages patience, understanding, and respect in relationships as both people learn to honor the unfolding process.